Hello everyone, welcome back to Infinite Rails. There's been a couple updates lately. One of these added snow and Christmas trees and gifts. It's a pity we can't actually open them. I mean, I guess I can delete them and act like I got something. But the more significant changes were to industries, so let's take a quick look at that. Pulling open the last update, the one in question is 0.3.6. Redesigned how buying and selling works. Camps now physically cut down trees in the world instead of generating abstract resources, and buildings must be purchased rather than being available by default. They also added a tutorial, but we're not going to look at that this time. So, what they mean for one is, see all this? That used to be more trees. They were cut down to feed the machine. Also, you'll notice that you are no longer buying logs from here. There's no more signboard. It will give you a price if you open it up in the menu, or in the map. And you can see it says idle. That's because we've filled this thing up. It's just generating logs as needed. So what we're going to do, let's load these up. And then watch the crane picks it up and puts it on the car. That hasn't changed. Let's do it again. Get a full load. But take a look, it's now already cutting down more trees somewhere to restock that. So at some point it'll be full. So let's take these over to sell them. We'll hop on our little stump dodger here. Little stump dodger is going to need more fuel pretty soon. And this time we'll just take them into town. Still got a little bit of that action lag, but it doesn't seem to be too bad. Hope everyone's having a good Christmas Eve, if anyone's actually watching. I am actually not doing anything much this Christmas. For me, the big family events are going to be at New Year's, which is why I'm doing this stream right now. I also got off early from work, so that's always nice. So yeah, this first one, we're just going to go over to Thorny Lake Yard and drop it off, and then we'll take the next one over to the mill. And once again, the signals are kind of weird. I've not gotten around to fixing those, and I don't think we'll be doing it this stream, and I will explain why in a bit. Now we are going to run around this, so we'll go ahead and disconnect things now. Unload, and supposedly there's a way to, like, queue this up. I haven't figured that out yet. It was like an L click. Oh no, L was your flashlight. That's a new feature too. Hello, Edward James Jr. Merry Christmas. So, the selling part is also different. You know, you can still see the prices here on this board. Keep this one in mind for a bit. But now instead of having to scroll your wheel, you just left click and it's sold. Left click and it's sold. So, Edward James Jr., this is a preset map. This is the Ashmore Crossings map. It is one of 2 preset maps. I have made some changes to it, not in this area, but further to the west, and we will be seeing those later in the stream, and I'll try and point them out when we get to that part. Now, I know it's just one car. We don't really have to run around, but I apparently need fuel, so we may as well go do that. And as a reminder, this game is still in development, so there's bound to be a few glitches and things that need to be changed. I recommend checking out the game's Discord server. I don't have a link to it at the moment. And once again, unlike some games, there's still no penalty for overspeed hitting cars, so we're just gonna ram into this. Dunk. It is quite a bit of fun, so I do recommend checking it out. So we got the air hoses. Okay, air hoses are good. Hop back in the cab. Check the brakes. Reset the lights. Oh, that's new. It only took 1 click that time. And we'll head back, and let's use the map to preset some switches. We'll fuel up, shove this in, and then we might run around, we might not. I don't think we will, actually. Now, you might have noticed, by the time we finished all that running around, the logs were gone. Once again, over time, they just sold. After we sold them, it just consumed them gradually. But we did get the money as soon as they were consumed. Or as soon as they were sold. We didn't have to wait for it to fully run down. I'm not sure what you mean by the default loadout. You will always start in regular mode with this engine, this flat car, and a coach that I'm not currently using. You can recolor the engine, though. Right now, there are only 3 industries in the game, that being the logging camp, I guess the freight depot, and the sawmill, which we'll, again, go see in a little bit. There are plans to add more, but I don't know when that's going to happen. Presumably next will be some sort of oil well chain because they do have tank cars in the game. Now let's go fuel up. But if we take a look at the shop real quick, there are 3 engines you can buy, and they did also do some price tweaks for that. And several freight cars. We got the Donnersbusch, the Thunderbox, the modern BD coach, the short platform car, which is what we have now, the big platform car, and 4 tank cars, which again, right now are pretty much just for aesthetics. Alright, let's go get this thing actually loaded up. Shouldn't have dumped the air so much. Oh, the weather changed. I haven't figured out how to make it stay on snowy. Again. So we took these last ones to the freight depot. This time we're going to take them over to the sawmill. And just for reference, the default map ends about here. I expanded the map, and before the last update, I added a sawmill here. You, of course, can put your buildings wherever you want. At some point, I think that it'll run out of trees to cut down. And once that happens, we'll need to go find another logging camp. There is one other on the default map. Change your lights again. This time we'll come out of the Y and then we'll go backwards to the sawmill. I am sure the devs will keep adding on. The devs have been pretty active in the Discord server. And some room for growth is putting it mildly. I could go that way, I could go that way, I could extend this branch if I wanted to. When they say infinite rails, they really do mean infinite. I bet this map's probably as big as a Minecraft world, and those are famously big. Change our lights again. And in case you're wondering, I have the day-night cycle fixed to always be daytime. at a certain time. So that's why the sun hasn't moved at all. In regular gameplay, I would probably change that to a regular day-night cycle. But when you're trying to build stuff, sometimes it's nice for it to always just be daytime, you know? Yeah, you definitely... I mean, you'll have to build a yard, but yeah, you can set up some pretty good trains with this. And again, they're always adding stuff. So this branch goes up to another logging camp and a little station. You can get some serious speed coming down this hill. And while you can derail in this game, you can only derail by going off the end of track at the moment. So we're just rolling right along. Yeah, at some point I am going to add more signals in here. It's not really that important right now because I'm just playing by myself, but it would look cool. There also isn't any sort of AI runs trains for you feature. I'm debating if that would be a good thing to have. I mean, admittedly, in Railroader, that's really useful. Here, I don't know. It's kind of nice to be able to run multiple trains at once, but you also get a lot of enjoyment out of actually just running your train. Unlike Railroader, this one I think is meant to have actually decent running sim. Though admittedly, at the moment I'm basically just going regulator full. And once again, once we hit the desert, we went past the end of what the pre-built Ashmore Crossings map gives you. The other map is, I want to say it's Markovnik's Field or something like that. It's a much bigger map. I haven't checked it out, though. That one just felt a little too big. This one, I feel like I can expand with and have fun with. You can throw switches remotely, in fact, just to show it. You can throw switches remotely, and if your signals are set to just be like manually showing a certain color, you can change those remotely too. If they're set up so that they run on the sensor blocks, which is a little more complicated, then you can't change them remotely, but they'll change on their own. If you go after this stream, if you go back, you can find the one where I talked a bit about signals. And we'll slow down for this crossover. One thing I figured out while I was building this, these switches have different angles on them. The big switches and the little switches do not have the same angle, which is rather interesting. And now we come to the problem. And the problem is... there's no room to put any more logs. I'd forgotten about this. We'll shut down the engine for a second. It's kind of loud. So, all of this got sold, but there is now no more space for it to put more logs and lumber. Which is not helped by the fact that they charge a lot for it. And that's not really affected as far as I can tell from how much there is. If we go back to the map and go back to the freight depot at Thorny Lake, the sell price there is less than the buy price there, so I can't make a profit hauling all this lumber. So I think what we're gonna have to do... Oh man, the price just went up again. I think what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to go find, or rather build, another one. Normally on a default map, or previously on a default map, buildings would generate, but they were having some bugs with that, so they turned that feature off. So, if we want to go to a new place, we're gonna have to go throw down some money for it. A little disappointing, but again, they are planning to also overhaul how all this works. So, let's leave our train for a second. Save our game. We'll enter flight cam mode. And let's see where this is going to take us. Looking at the map, I think we're going to cross this river, this lake, skirt around the edge of it, and go maybe north? You could also try and cling to the sides. I don't really feel like doing that, though. Yeah. Maybe we'll come up to this open area. Before we begin, actually... Yeah, it's being weird with the fixed weather thing. Alright, so... rails. We're just gonna grab... Oh, nope, that's right. I have to delete the end bumpers. Goes. And which way were we going again? I already got lost. Haven't even begun lane track. Okay, that way. And if we look, you can see I've got it set so that it will curve or it'll be straight. Horizontal ends and maintaining the same level. I'm not really that thrilled with how it changes your level. How it shows that elevation. Because I don't know if it's really trying to say a degree or not. But we will gain a bit of elevation here. Yeah, I guess that's true. At the moment, I'm not worrying about passengers. Again, you can go take a look at the past videos and see how the passenger service works. I'm gonna do... No, we'll keep the horizontal lines. It does mean we're gonna have a whole lot of ups and downs and such. I guess I could have just ramped up like that. That's no fun. You do want this alignment to be fun at some point. And so now... I'm going to do a short piece of wall at level height. We'll go with a wooden bridge. A little more of that. And then, yeah, we're going to skirt the lake. Maybe cut through there. Wrong button. That one. Constantly checking the map to make sure I know where I'm going. Now, I'm gonna change the ends to just be horizontal again. It maybe doesn't look as realistic, but it does mean a bit less figuring out what the grading looks like. Now, recall for a second that I was trying to build a double track mainline. So we are going to take a moment here. And we're going to make this single track. Or we're going to give ourselves the ability to make this single track. Use R to change that. We'll just have a short little single track segment past this lake. How does that look? That looks a little funky. I'm gonna redo that. Bit better. Okay, now we want a hard curve this way. Actually, no, I think we're just gonna sweep around the long way. Can't see the tracks for the trees! And I'm using the elevation to try and figure out if I'm going up or down, but it's not always the best. I think this is where I'm trying to go. Just gonna blow through here. Yeah, a curve radius tool would also be pretty nice, actually. Again, level that out. And that way we can start double track when we decide to do that. No. You can tell where the switch stand is on some of these. I'll just lay that parallel. And one more look at the map. So we're going to cross this river and then edge to the north again. Now keep in mind, freight prices don't really change by distance. Passenger prices do. So the fact that I'm going super far to this next place doesn't really matter. It's, again, just kind of for the aesthetic. We'll do a steel bridge this time. Another abutment. This time I will do that. And we'll bring this up. The ground is really falling away now. You can tell I was trying to reduce that embankment height a bit, and it still is pretty high. Where? So now I curl around, and I think, yeah, I think right here. Let's go place the building down first, and then we'll set up our organization or our track structure around it. Grid so I could tell how flat everything actually is would also be nice. So, buildings, we want a freight depot. I'm gonna go up, angle down. Try that again. And yeah, we'll put it at this angle. And maybe like that. There we go. How's these prices? They're still pretty terrible. But you know what? We'll do them just because. Just because we need to clear out the sawmill. But after that, we probably won't do it much more. So now what I'm going to do, keep it leveled. We're going to use a small turnout. The small ones will actually let you do these tie-ins. The big ones are too big. Although even the small ones can be a little weird if you don't do it quite right. Yeah, that wasn't the greatest. So now let's go parallel. Exceeded the distance. Okay. Well, for now we'll just stub end it here, but and we'll do a different connection on this side, just because. But yeah, ideally there will be like a big freight yard here somewhere. Actually, no, we'll do the parallel track tool. We'll set this to be about 4.56. And then we'll have to figure out what the proper offset on these turnouts is. Actually, we might change that. As much as I like that feature, I'm gonna do this I call this the Railroads Online method because this was kind of popular for setting offsets back then. Basically, you'd set down an item of fixed length and use that to set your offsets. It's actually pretty close. It's not hooked up right, and sometimes it'll pull up a little sign telling you that. Yeah, like that. That was pretty close. So now what I'm gonna do, and again, all of this can change, but we're gonna give ourselves a lead to work with. So the idea here is that this track doesn't actually connect to the main line. This track is solely for use when we're switching, so that we don't block the main line while we're switching. Meanwhile, this track is the main line. And we're gonna make a big cut there. Half that, so we don't go off the end of track. And now we just need to do another big... Can we connect? Not quite. Okay, we'll get close-ish. This is going to be just a little jank. It's fine. And yeah, we'll edit this as needed. Those prices are terrible. I might have to actually just go into the game files later and change what the Sawmill's pricing is, because that's... ugh. Alright, well, for the time being, we have our line. You can use the map to teleport around too, which is a nice feature. Part of me thinks maybe I'll see if I can just blow up the Sawmill later. So, actually, I guess to start with, we need to take these over because there's no space. Oh, almost ran down that switching lead. Might make that a double crossover. I'm not sure. That could be a good idea. You know what? Just for kicks. Oh, I was gonna do that, and then I remembered this game is very loud. Here, maybe if I crank down... I'm gonna have to... Here, let's do this. I'm gonna crank down the volume there. Maybe crank up the volume on your end a bit. Oh yeah, that's much nicer for me. Hopefully you can still hear it. But yeah, now I'm actually willing to just like run from the cavity. If the sound is too low, tell me. Because I can't hear what my own streams do. I guess that also helps. So we're crossing the first river, or I guess we're crossing the river the first time. It is kind of nice to be able to see this from the cab view so I can see just how bad of an alignment I laid. It's not always evident when you're doing the top-down view. Like right here, I could probably adjust that. It comes down and then it pops up to the end of the spline here, and then it has to keep going up. Okay, good to know. Thank you, Edward James Jr. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Working our way back. I haven't had a... Actually, I guess I have had an engine stall on a grade, but it was a pretty extreme grade. So this is where we're going to end double track in the future. Around. This could also be a junction. We could build a new line going off to that way if we want to. For now, I'm not going to do that, but if they add more industries, I might. This, I believe, is where we decided that in the future we will resume double track. Possibly with a little station or something here. Or maybe that was just so that I can offset the correct distance more easily. The offset tool is really nice when you get it to work right. Over the bridge. I guess realistically, we probably restart double track on the other side so that you're not building two bridges. But, you know, why not? We'll do the two bridges. This is about where we drop down into where the mill is for the industry. Yeah, so let's make sure switches are lined. Yes. And yeah, in the future we can flesh this out more at a passenger station. All the things. Take the regulator off. We'll have some brake. DRRP, hello! I feel like I've seen you on the Angry Ragtimer stream. And what's our speed? What is our speed, actually? I can't find the speedometer. Oh, there's the speed. I'm just going to switch back to third-person mode, and for third-person, you scroll out. I'm not 100% sold on that either. These prices, that's garbage, honestly. That might have been a result of the industry changes. They adjusted what the default prices are, but since the other industries were there beforehand, they weren't affected. So, I don't know. So we'll sell those for now. And then let's uncouple and run around. And then, yeah, I think we'll take the lumber to the other one. It's still not going to be profitable, but at least something. And then, yeah, I think tonight, tomorrow, before the next time I stream, whenever that is, I'll go into the save file and just edit pricing and see if I can get something a little more reasonable. Oh yeah, that's a fun quirk. For whatever reason, if you set the brakes to 100% here, it just holds at whatever it's at. And then if you pull it all the way down, it goes into full application. Now, if I really wanted to cheat, I could just delete these and respawn them back at the sawmill. That would be a lot faster, and in regular play, I might do that, but I won't do that on stream. Also, when you delete something off the map like this, any customization you've applied to it, which admittedly isn't much at this point, just paint and lettering, but that goes away. Okay, I don't like that. I'm gonna have to fix that later. Okay, and it automatically hooks up the air because I have that set, game settings. So let's go back. That was a brief flash. I don't know if any of you saw that. This engine is not very fast. We're basically at max speed. If you look at the other engines, the Class 08, which is British, it's actually slower, but it's more powerful. And then the CHME3 is much faster and more powerful, and has a price to match. Okay, thank you for confirming that. Again, game is still in development, so, you know, such things happen. past the lake. This would be a fun spot to put another little platform. Yeah, I'm curious to see what the overhauls look like. Because again, they said they want to overhaul how industries work and building generation works. And they also mentioned, well, at some point the idea is, I think, there'll be pre-placed cities you connect to that generate passengers, as opposed to just plopping them down on platforms yourself. And it flashed again. At least it's better than last time. Last time, every so often, it would just like freeze for about a second. Like when you threw a switch or went over a signal point. That seems to have finally stopped. Admittedly, over the course of that stream, that lag time was constantly decreasing until eventually it was next to nothing. Up the ridge we didn't need to do. That could be a fun thing to modify where, since this is the outside track, you make this the inside track and then have the other tracks sweep around that way. Lots of fun stuff you can do with that. Past the edge of the desert. Coming into the industry will slow down a bit. I do have the yard set up, but with just the one car, it doesn't really do anything. It's more for aesthetics. There is no penalty for speeding in this game. I've mentioned that one branch line you can just go flying down. And you will go flying down it, and you will not come off the rails. There is no speed penalty. Alright, we'll pay for your overpriced dreams. The next time I play, that price is going to be a lot lower. And yeah, now you can see it's once again starting to produce. Because by buying, we freed up space. And away we go. Once the brakes recharge. So yeah, this can now start producing again. I have to play around in the vanilla world and see if those prices... If I just got a really bad draw on that, oh, that way? Nope, too late. If I just got a really bad draw on that freight depot, or if they actually reset the pricing so that's more typical. Which would make sense, because again, it used to be you had to buy the logs and then sell them. So having higher prices for the industry sell would make more sense. That price looks more like what you'd expect for getting the logs for free, like we just did. through the dunes. In a previous version of this map, I cut through the dunes a different way. This time I decided just to go around. It did line me up better for where they put the sawmill though. Can I actually create an invite code for the server? I'll figure this out. Probably not. I don't think so. So I think probably we'll end the stream once I get this dropped off. We'll see. I might go a little longer. Maybe haul an extra round of logs just to make up for the losses here. Let me know what else you'd like to see. Again, they did add a tutorial, which I have not checked out because I started playing after they added the tutorial. That can make for a fun stream. Just walk through it. Let's cross over to the other track. Like we were supposed to do. And that signal's going to be goofy and not acknowledge our presence. And that signal acknowledged our presence the last time we came through here and never reset, because, yeah, the way that they laid out the signals on this map aren't quite right. It's kind of annoying like that, actually. That's why I want to do an overhaul. So that could also be a stream, overhaul the signals on Ashmore Crossings. We could try out other games. I did a Railroader series this past year, so go check that out. It was... I started in Andrews with the sandbox save and worked my way back to Whittier. Or I should say with the save I made with some sandboxing tools, but then played as a regular game. That went 53 episodes, so admittedly it would take you a while to watch it, but go check it out. It's kind of fun. I could also try Derail Valley now that I've got the newer computer. I could get back in the Railroads Online. I haven't touched that one in a while. I mean, I guess it's kind of fun, but I also haven't touched it since they released it to 1.0. So I don't know how buggy it is. And yeah, oh yeah, that's another thing. You can run through switches. I really like that. I remember Railroads Online was really annoying when you couldn't do that. Officially, they are not supporting mods, but they have mentioned that if you have a model, you can send it to them. But if people do figure out how to mod this game, and I'm sure they will, I mean, they figured out how to mod Railroader and Derail Valley. So yeah, it would be interesting to see what people come up with, and you know, maybe some of that just ends up getting ported into the base game. That would be kind of nice. Go. Yeah, see, we're gonna take a big loss on this. Maybe with the eventual industry overhaul, that'll get fixed. And we won't have to worry about money losing loads like this. Yeah, see, we paid like 2,200, we're getting 1,700. That's a loss. I will agree on that. Modding has made Railroader a lot more fun after I more or less played through the base game. And I haven't even done any of the track mods. I've just left it at things like new equipment. Derail Valley, I haven't really done much with the mod other than multiplayer. For a while I had some new paint schemes, but I haven't tried new equipment yet. Let's go haul one more load of logs and then we'll call it a stream. One thing to keep in mind though is that yeah, you get really good mods, but also if your game is still in development like this one is, new changes to the game can break those mods. Which I think is part of the reason that Railroader officially doesn't have mod support, and won't until the next update. And even then, I think they're limiting what kind of mods are officially supported. I don't think you'll be able to add new track or anything like that. And I mean, I don't think Railroads Online has mods, at least not officially. And I've heard Century of Steam devs saying that they probably won't have modding support just because their game is so complex to code that it's going to be really hard to do something like that. And I can respect that. Mind you, it's Century of Steam. When your engine has a few trillion combinations for all the ways you can set up the engine, mods are almost not really necessary. Oh yeah, I'd imagine. Something like Microsoft Flight Simulator. I haven't actually played that. It doesn't really appeal to me. I did try Combat Flight Simulator once, but I couldn't get the hang of the controls. Yeah, I do seem to recall hearing that, like, whenever Railroader updates, all the map mods break because they've inevitably changed something on the map. And there is supposed to be a big map update coming for Railroader, or at least a big update. Which is part of the reason I haven't played it on camera in a while. I've been playing it in the background just to keep myself entertained. Of course, you could also make the case that this wouldn't be a problem if they shipped the games at a point where it was fully finished and so there weren't constant updates. You know, like back when they had CDs. Versus right now, I'm basically playing a game that's still being made. And it's fun, and I get it sooner, and I get to help influence how it's finished, I guess. There's kind of a bit of a back and forth to that. Like, do you wait until it's all done, or do you let people play it sooner? I will say an example of a game that probably should have gone through more testing in an open dev phase, or an open phase, was Construction. I have played that, and they had to patch it multiple times right after release to fix things that people were finding. That's when I probably won't play on stream. It was fun for a bit, and then it just kind of stopped being fun. It just got too tedious. But I did get my money's worth out of it. I paid X amount, and I follow a rule I saw once where, like, yeah, the 70s, 90s, or even the early aughts, you get a CD, it's got everything you need. And you didn't need an internet connection to do it. Anyway, train of thought got lost. Yeah, Construction just got tedious. So much, there's a ton of micromanaging. This one, though, I think it'll be fun. You get the open world vibes, you get the train simulator vibes, you get the build your railroad vibes. And to some extent, you get the economy management vibes. So I think we've now made up those losses. And I think we're going to end it here. So tune in next time, whenever that is. Again, we'll probably be playing this again. We might try something else. I'm not sure. I could also try, what is it, Lazy Train Game. I tried that once. Demo was alright. The full game's out now, so it could be fun to play. And again, could do Railroad or could do Dero Valley. And anything could update between now and the next time I stream. They could release a big update on Christmas Day. Everything I just streamed about could be completely different. So that could be exciting. But until next time, I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy whatever holiday it is you celebrate. Except for Toyotathon, I don't care about that. This is a Mazda household. But until then, have a good night, and take care.